Sa cameras na ebo Accra International Conference Center hona na capture bibia no. Almost share video no over 1,000 times. There was nowhere who say some police officer and now police officer friend Mr. Forsen attacking Afenyo Markin. I'm saying they never saw anything like that in that footage.
Hey, nipa yedi edi aye friend honorable. Se odi ni huni di nukre e kan nukre de bia abrebia e na ntro aye o de sei o saye sana hene saye himpom wawu na wei ye bede ni buo de amaye mpanifu yi enti se report na ba wie akas Afenyo Markin de se si de se fata bia no ye didi no emani ye yentine Arressted Afenyo Markin na so ayeshi eja tuntum eja kokori eja sisi ebi gunite so na eja gunite.
Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin, however, failed to return the police medical report form despite several calls to him to do so.
Ghana ECG, Resident Company of Ghana, Omadi Nkunim save Ghana $390 million. I mean, say, Abba Papa Nabo, hey, Abba Papa Nabo 24-hour economy.
So you're saying that people intentionally stole money? That's what you are directly saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because, like I said, if you have 100,000 list that has been uploaded into the system, now you have validated over 100,000 and you are paying. What are you paying for?
Or say, or no, they will name say, National Service Scheme over 2.2 billion. After say charge or say entry. Any friend the charge or say entry. Any papa a friend or mammy a friend give to why. Mensa edino or say it's either system na failure. System na your papa at mama coin. I'm a loopholes. I'm a mom for creative or mugos name machine. And I say this individuals are no more office way. None the ayabwa power or much other pa. Say yedi ye be disika, ye ba be disika. Tama wun to me amasem akwakoto Alexander Afenyo Markin. Okay, emra ye say free tama wun to me na sa movement na equality to minority some go people yoko. Officer ma Alexander Afenyo Markin. Minority da go bob police ni say pa. Oye no asa twa letter tintin was Ghana police for Moria say una police ni baako wa bom ya jase ka bidio bom me bono oboye ma ne ka makoma nka me yawu na police for the report to e dey aba e dey afa Alexander Afenyo Markin so onu na dey for anase police ni no chama untimi ana this say we na ba enyo bia na Kissi Agyebeng ese yanka che Ghana for say asem no dey Kevin Taylor kan no no kore papa e friend kan Ofori-Atta kasem na bi na ya kan Ofori-Atta be ka Kevin Taylor be ka say a papa no ne ba enanam US no dwena no mi say ne baba onye na adwe oba ne anase oba tena ampa the office of the Special Prosecutor boss Kissi Agyebeng ne da beto say baby akwedi kan Ofori-Atta nye na adwe say oba mi say also be charge no November upu obe charge no wey any send baby ani na involving operation recover all youth arrest any arrest and more wey ebede wey naked truth our Oldboga trends edino ever go pe Maxi Billian subscribe like share na we are for comments na to comment section na say wey ebede what Papa your friend Alexander Afenyo Markin, they are minority leader, formerly majority leader under the MPP. Papa Nami, ya teacher, my would to say, any policy for your chance, ya nyabre, ko, ya no member of parliament voices some at the form. Ada ya mu ye protest and Afenyo Markin kura de and ye Freemason paibo and paibo yo odi meyo paibo yo obobi nyina. Awo na wey ana de go do pinchen. How many police for so the barricade na bezo ze hwe. Ehene he ye mamu wura ho. Ye mamu ko na de ye betie no. Na video bi Afenyo Markin. Wa mama na beti za azuma nese. Ana police ni obono pa no mi chama tu buasi o. Ni eja mo on the floor pa kwa beti mabo. One fee. Owe na Ghana for say adan oye parliamentarian nti. An ye ntimi nche ne ye nka na asem bia ye dey life amano. Dede ne goes na nche best 2 days na Afenyo Markin dey elected as a lawyer. Na nu ne brofo ye dey on the pen ade to paper so wa chere na krata tete ase dey over go odofo no oye na come Ghana police for say Mongrofo no ba ku wa tesa bo wa bome no obo me man ka me ya kokoma me ya fenti e take me party members dey me go wura washroom bi ma me so sam mani ma ana na mani so atemi a enyem tutu e bi wo mapia bonte hwe akwa no go me enti mu investigate akwa na say Ghana was dey we dey do when tase ye ntiase da na nyewu na yehu se video wo ba gwe okay the obo no e wo he na Ghana pray for gas o me hu hwemu na ya adwin se hu ba bi aduru de kai Ghana ye be ye pani mi hwemu na e chesi ya justice deny a justice delay is justice deny yan kodan kote na no ya 2020 and 2024 election violence e course so ayewa se west wagon techimai ana damango kosi ablikuma north ablikuma central ya kekani na bom ana ya say nipa dodo ewu ye ni omo pra ye ni na de ni na akwa to general ohwemu na de aka no emra ni omuni se de se ne fata sada Alexander Afenyo Markin so de na nkwaso ba ababedu na report na ababedu according to CID for am go investigate just said Alexander Afenyo Markin si momu na report na ababedu say odifo onu mom ebu police na ye friend corporal forcing able oboro ama yehu CCTV camera no mo ye ni na no bibia chese Alexander Afenyo Markin obi no to na sabo mi si nipa ye di edin aye friend honorable se odi ni hu ni di nukre e ka no kre de bia abrebia e na ntro aye o de sei o sai sana hene sai himpom wawu na wei ye be de ndibuo de amaye mpanifu yi enti se report na ba wie akas Afenyo Markin de se fata bia no ye didi no emani ye ntine Alexander Afenyo Markin na so ayeshi eja tuntum eja kokoni eja sisi ebi guni tesu ne eja guni chem and ebi so she ne to bole who say man no dey John Muhammad dey why na catch us say be money o be kan ko na we ana Kevin Taylor Kevin ko Taylor say we will be kan o si asemi di kan ba yi ye kan da say Alexander Afenyo Markin no papa no onya correct the odi police ni obi ehun say ordinary citizen and abo police in grand command say and the DSC baby adri Afenyo Markin must be arrested and when is the Kevin Taylor ni advocacy ni sema ne oka say me Afenyo Markin fa ni uni o mo hwe ye ni wan fa ni hu ani o say dem mra no ni obi edi so obi aye physical assault na verbal assault ye tinu man ye no we wabu an officer na oche uniform eye duty enti ompeu say police yi na go bo Afenyo Markin sa enki enter the thing by now ya jenata ade ma na kwa na fe ni hutuntum no enka ka da ne kokko di we say de enso to ebe no sa na wi ebo so a eseye emfani no.
What has happened, it should shock every single Ghanaian. And we have discovered something about the case. It took us a lot of work to be able to intercept side investigations now after Afenyo Markin struck a police officer twice on national television. How far the investigations have gone. The issue is Yebusa is NDC na asababa na nseyano. Me, I don't care. So court to find the NDC MP guilty. If they have to jail him, they have to jail him. I don't care. Because now let's read this document. In the police for no extra letter command national security say you want 2 cameras be wo baby assembly see yepa mocho mobetumi ama your camera and videos na recording you know because your pese dey your investigations say Afenyo Markin na ye hu no camera say obo obi asum na ose obi abono no ye pese ye hu say Afenyo Markin so obi bo na enti police for no extra letter e command national security say some two cameras no ye pese that day na incident this year no ye pese ye share sa video no now yanko enim. The footage received from the National Security through the National Signal Bureau was analyzed by the Cyber Security Unit, but it did not capture the assault incident. Say, CCTV, petition, and also letter come National Security, and National Security catch National Signal Bureau for say, my video available to Ghana Police Service. No, say, videos, no, share, no. Analyzing video original, there was nothing or no assault from anybody on Afenyo Markin. Sa cameras na ebo Accra International Conference Center hona na capture Billian. Almost share video no over 1,000 times. There was nowhere who say some police officer and now police officer friend Mr. Forsen attacking Afenyo Markin. Almost say they never saw anything like that in that footage. This is the investigations. The footage received from the National Security through the National Signal Bureau was analyzed by the Cyber Security Unit, but it did not capture the assault incident. Based on the analysis of the video obtained from Police Public Affairs Department on the 9th May 2025, Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin was cautioned in the presence of an independent witness and released on self-recognizance bail. Almost say after mo analyze the video in we no mo be hu say obi aniwa ode ne nsaka Afenyo Markin obi aniwa obo Afenyo Markin police ni bi aniwa ode ne nsaka no police for no caution no and mo ka say oma ono ankasa ne hu bail so they caution him say ono krapo no watwatro and wama police use some resources for no reason it omo caution no and I'm kind of say on one case I'm bailing no because time or by no technically ni action. It's the Afenyo Markin ankasa e bailing no after police cautioned him. Now investigations ni yanko enim. Now ko enim, this is what you see. Police medical form was also issued to him to attend hospital and report. Into police for no e caution ni we na mo case o man who bail no and o man the police report is say wo say yaboa Gineko Police Station Hospital. Na my doctor says so and review. Na safa report ne bra. But say obi abu abotro na bi eni wanim na wo yam. Inti okono and a police CID for no more investigations in the friend say J. So who is this say abo because video ni share no obi ambo but who is this say abo a emrani kire say e wo se ma ho kwan na wo koye test na prove say e bia wenya internal bleeding ebia wenya shwa bleeding ebia wenya koko bleeding into court nekoya report and omode sa report ma Afenyo Markin say onko police station normal doctor hwe na onfa report ne mra. This is all part of the investigations. Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin, however, Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin, however, failed to return the police medical report form despite several calls to him to do so. Investigative reports no omu wie bibia no say omu ma Afenyo Markin police report say onko police station na onko hospital medical report say onko hospital na doctor assessing no famra omu say Afenyo Markin free police station ho omu frɛ no I'm sending telegram, I'm sending the email, I'm sending the WhatsApp, I'm sending the Twitter account message. Afenyo Markin has not given the police any respect on responding.
Na enye no kwa na good news ah. Omo ho pese sa no kre the naked of the truth. Yes, truth tell am make you na kire. Another one ECG. Esoso awini omo friend say omo arbitration case na e landing against PDS. Na PDS if we omo na start say revenue mobilization ama GRE na ye ECG omu de just omu jisika ba disika na gas contract fraudulent ni na no eka contract fun contract burning kind of Ofori-Atta the then finance minister papa no de ma Ghana for and PDF for the a wrongful termination of our contract omu na go pay mu land omu go do say arbitration pay your contract na ye sign no to the end na ye kan na anka e say betena fa akuni na sesi na baby na sesi asan na London ye ko sesi asan according to the London court just akwai no crabia ni PDS for you na de omo ye no fraudulent act enti Ghana ECG president resident company of Ghana omadi nkunim asave Ghana $390 million. I mean say aba papa na bo hey aba papa na bo 24-hour economy ejanu tuato o he na ECG pe ye ni bruzo bio edun sese light no de bia ye kama abrate ehane ne wodi uja ofrige wodi nwane aguma unsuro ni na ti no yeah after one Ghana say ye je na ye tie yi ene be bia ye kama ene power the way ye generate power no yes say yes I expand electricity 90% of Ghana communities are yes spend say e be go do 100% and what ya ko win a court case our landing against PDS another brunsam contractor can Ofori-Atta lead me kwasan ye di hunkonim ye di call ye be say di biona office of the special prosecutor yeah papa you hu ya be mobo wodi America tutu America 10 akokan ha de yenka ni na na kwakwa na ne say papa ye friend Mustapha Hamid na anu yayi according to OSP the trail letter tinted betu ho say ya frozen and I say ya freezing na counter what 100 million Ghana cedis and $100,000 all on the corruption case cost about fraudulent affairs the cause of financial loss to the state stealing their DNA him kwanya baby charge babo go the phone na dey born no papa no na you say what due score over 291 million Ghana cedis plus $330,000 in the atonje so o matrix ya na nyapa de wo ho cash afie ni kwanya ba plus hon cash ni na yaje amana kokko wete 100 million Ghana cedis and $100,000 nene lawyer so boa obo me client yenye ne wotu guso aseje be furaje o se na de on ground je da na se na be pe furo chai je tire die na Ghana food me kan okra tremo mo office of the special prosecutor no onye me client ne be me say and he say one e kan okra one e din tro the AC ye be the yan one e kan okra yo one e din tro ti papa ye friend no Mustapha Hamid de be say nya sem ketua ne friends and lawyer ye adwuma edema Hay and Partners Law say Dr. Hamid ne nya dia ni business ba kokora OSP before age na hey OSP o ya sure say the ego si Ghana for ebe mo nya fubie de o ga say ebe mo ho ato yo baby anduri amanfo ye OSP must go yi tene ho na ni yi yem ye adwuma no and the amanfo move to the state say okabi nya be respond because you are not making any better arrest nanka office ye design say aye special for prosecution over ye only one single special case person bia one single special bia no wache no omo a wache beni na no about in the hierarchy of omo no more opportunity to be more corrupt to steal more money to cause more financial loss to the state omo ba go oba beti ye king of Ofori-Atta no grass have got ne so oma papa na so oma se wo na wo hye ne kutu paso dia yenim OSP you must be careful OSP yesterday about first steady pa obi e wono na papa ye friend James Clote Aveji former chairman of Parliament Public Accounts Committee papa ne say a friend say Ghana ye see was in ye political appointees na mo institutions no or see the fact say aya omo ignore internal auditors tell zikano oba be dia wo anka ese wo audit no we say zikano the budget ede ma o ene na wudie no wunye ni try no akai ye mfamu nya bogene do ma ye swan enti de bia ni atwa fomo to ni akwa de epe At the end of the day, never not as a Sicano worthy, yet to me account for. Or see a Rene and Tatians and T. Honma. They be on the Baker Public Accounts Committee. Said not John the money my can. They be a month for Bediska. Now should they be an 8 easy. A month for because where the and go to the bank. And I am making sure internal auditors, you know. You have more money that autonomous or a friend say power. I'm more matter making sure say internally. Or make my auditors as CEOs in New Penivua. Or money. And again. I say a shield near protecting internal auditors. No feelings of we are safe. And ya dear see you bet my friend Pregope. Messiah, who has our tata near you would be. My end term there be a external auditors. Let there be auditor general. And as once my mom for saying me audit be. An internal auditor and the human Japan saying, I don't want me. And yes, I see a dear Basaidi a tuja.
First of all, as a country, we are governed by rule of law. And we have enacted laws for ourselves to control and guide our conduct. And one of those laws is the Public Financial Management Act. There were a number of Public Financial Management Acts in the past, but the current one that we are using was passed in 2016. In fact, I was the chair of the Finance Committee when we passed the Public Financial Management Act of 921 of 2016. And then we also have other laws that govern us, like the procurement law, and we also have the internal audit law, internal audit agency law. Then we have the Ghana Audit Service law. All these laws are made to ensure that people who have been entrusted with public funds manage their funds in the interest of the public, so that people do not embezzle the state funds and go scot-free. That when such things happen, people are punished. So when we talk about this public financial management itself, it involves a number of things. But you mentioned about internal audits. Now, internal audit is actually, to me, the way I understand and which I am practicing now at Security and Exchange Commission is that the internal audit is like the eye of management. Why do I say so? As the head of covered entity or as a manager or CEO sitting in your office, when requests come from your various departments to you for approval, you need somebody to do the background check and see if right things are being done. If the financial laws are being complied with, if all the regulation, procurement, whatever system is put in place are being complied with, that person is the internal auditor. But what I have realized, or what I've noticed as the chair of the Public Accounts Committee in the past, is that most heads of entities, most CEOs, do not want to use the services of the internal auditors. So that is one of the reasons why we're having these challenges of infractions here and there. Because if the internal audit unit is working effectively, if heads of entities are using the service of the internal auditors, they will be able to ensure that things are done in compliance with the law. So if you don't use the internal auditor, you do the wrong thing. And when the external auditors, which is the audit service, which is governed by Article 187 of the Constitution, which establishes the office of the Auditor General, and asks the Auditor General to audit all public accounts of Ghana and report to Parliament. If you don't use the service of the internal auditor, you end up doing the wrong thing, and the external auditors will come and unearth those wrong things and report them in the report that they submit to Parliament. So the use of the internal audit units by the heads of entities is very critical. Where I am now as the Director General of Security and Exchange Commission, there is nothing that comes to my table which involves spending state money, which I will not refer to the internal auditor to check for me if the right thing is being done, if it is in compliance with the law, whether it's a procurement or not. So I encourage all heads of entities, ministers, chief directors, to use the service of the internal auditors in a way will reduce the compliance infractions that we see all the time.
Now, Dr. Joshua Zato, Mr. Dr. Mr. Gaza, sometimes I'm confused. Me confused, sir. Dr. Zato say, Chrono amount for Kaya, Ebi say, CEOs and government appointees. Omoye directors no nkonya ba kwa mo yigi no internal auditors no. Ono dey also want and also need the say this NDC government has lost their moral right to speak about corruption after issuing several knowledge prosecutors to flush about 10 billion down the drain.
There's a phenomenon called the split screen phenomenon.
Is it a theory?
It's a phenomenon called split screen.
Split screen. Please,
it happens sometimes when there's a story and you want to change the narrative, then you put another story. So all of a sudden you have two. It's like seeing two different games on. NDC is on the ropes for Galamsey, and then over now you're like, hey, let's throw in a stadium and then change the narrative. I call that split screen. That is it. But that's on a lighter note. On the bigger note, my position on all these things are clear, and even Roland, you can understand that. I've stated my position on regime accountability and post-regime accountability. That is clear. I've never hidden from that. And I've stated my position that, for me, that so long as you raise your hand to take an oath to defend the public health, you've raised it, you must be accepted for accountability. I've said that. I've also said that so long as people's fundamental human rights are respected, the presumptions of innocence and all that crap in the Constitution, so long as you're at it, because, I mean, you came willingly to serve the people, and whatever happens, let the court of competent jurisdiction decide. I have said all those things. But I've also said this, and I'm going to say this. You should be outraged by these figures. You should be. I've said this on Saturday on Key Points, and I'm repeating it. Be outraged by these figures. That they are ridiculous, they are horrendous. But also then think about it. Once, if you are outraged by them, like Eden said, I want you to think about one thing. Just think for 1 minute. Imagine these figures. Tomorrow, that Honorable Dominic Ayine is moved to Foreign Affairs, and you are made Attorney General, and then you go there and issue a knowledge prosecutor to throw this in Sawad. How would you feel? Imagine if tomorrow a new Attorney General comes and these issues are not solved, and that Attorney General flashes out these financial figures and because of this, how would you feel? And for me, that's what I always said. That thing we did, the thing that the state did, the National Prosecutor, has rendered the argument of the state against all these people, because what you've done is that by doing that, you were condoning corruption. You've condoned corruption.
Zato, would you say, if, let's say, the Honorable Yusuf, all right, would be involved in this case, and the case will still travel the long haul of 8 years, it will be fair, or it doesn't matter?
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know why cases travel that long. There must be reason. There are judges there. There's a legal process. Okay. We talked here last week about how to reform the legal process. In fact, some of the delays, I think I've been told, some of the delays are not caused by the defense. Sometimes the delays are caused by the state itself.
You mean the
prosecution itself.
All right.
So if you cause a delay, that's all. The bigger point, let me make the point. The bigger point I'm making is this. Let the law take its own course. Let these people be investigated. They will have their day in court. They will defend themselves. And at the end of the day, their guilt or their innocence should be pronounced by a court, by a judge, not a politician. At the end of the day, whether they go to jail or they go home should not be determined by a politician. The day that all these knowledge prosecutors were issued to flush down 10 million cities is the day this government lost any moral standing to criticize anybody of corruption.
Oh, the
day they did that. The day that you decided to do that. The day that you decided to give your friends.
So is your position that because a knowledge prosecutor
was
filed by the AG
because the AG gave sweetheart deals his political opponents and flies down 10 million cities on 10 billion cities down the drain, you have lost any moral right. You didn't blame anybody else from it because I want you to think about it. The total amount of this and what is how much? Imagine we're collecting all these monies.
Yeah.
That's my position. I'm going to
$245 million.
Thank you.
At the time, the CD was traveling between 14 and 16 cities.
Hallelujah. Just imagine.
What's your hallelujah to the cost of the funding?
I've already told you about trade by the figure. Right. Then just imagine.
$50 million was spent on food.
Just imagine one day with all these figures. A politician comes and decides that, you know what, this person is my friend. I will even go, I will throw it away. Imagine that. All right. Just imagine that. And for me, so the day this, and I have to say this, and I'll say it again, this is the cardinal sin of corruption that this government has committed. And any attempt to shout from the rooftops, to hold press conferences, to try to paint members of the government as black and as corrupt as possible, this cardinal and primary sin remains that what you have done is as worse as, if not worse than anybody else you want to charge, because you do not pick and choose who to hold accountable. You hold all accountable.
Well, Dr. Joshua Zato, catch yourself say, in this for. Now, mono, they say, will be a manager, will be a Kamayaka. More naked truth in this chrono, boy, I go to Ghana. More individuals and as a group of people will be a wit Maccabi. I mean, sir, the crowd say, the crowd say, oh, by LDC for Mudina Triano, according to Attorney General Minister for Justice, Dominic Akutinga Ayine, SA, case in the Bible, great more interest, we're training that to a good. And what about 10 billion Ghana cities and after that, to a good say that all, who calculation in a way. Now, wait. So what you be traveling there to go adenti ana mama amount for believe we say mo got MPP for there and not just music for justice say justice there is must have happened for MPP and NDC or more we work on na I'm say we party MPP which are 8 years at the special office of the Special Prosecutor ever bako Martin du mama na kade owie o say kronfo na we Ghana ni na no omo chairman omo ogoro the boss of all bosses of corruption then president na dan kwa Akufo-Addo o da so to say eno de bi eno nya wasem dey wasem say ono ti office fa nipa miinu Kissi Agyebeng any Martin Abidu antimanche obia no papa bia na ono case wantima anyi ni enya ono no fault dem we this for that means this was duable and number ya mo file for National Prosecutor and then am one further case you are not interested in all corruption related activities but the logic behind this is easy. Mranini your friends say dem dey here say na witch hunting. Ebi we betima witch hunting. Ebi also is it a matter of say na ye justice? Sigan odia identity na certain you Attorney General Minister for Justice. Na ye trianika ye boy sika to the office. They want to when you say money na maye. Ni na no e question answer bazato say NDC for money moral right. Major Moses Doc na Pembu deputy Director General of Operations Edema, the National Service Authority. Or see enso no odambi apostrophe nso ase be accident mewa. Wo say na wan coordinate ne.
The system that was in place, I wouldn't be able, but it means that system failed us. Because if the system did not fail us, how did we get ghost names into the system that people were able to siphon millions of cedis, which is of the taxpayers' money? So it means that basically or fundamentally the system failed us. In this situation, like you mentioned earlier, the Attorney General is handling this matter, and for that matter, we have also put in place certain structures to make sure that this kind of thing do not happen again.
Okay, you just said that you were not there when it happened, but looking at the data that has been given you, could it have been avoided?
Possibly. It could also be intentional. Because it baffles my mind that you have a system that you know only 100,000 registered, or this a list, all the lists across the country, maybe 100,000 was uploaded, and then you are validating and it is over 100,000. What are you supposed to do?
You're
saying
that
to flag it.
It could have been intentional. So you're saying that people intentionally stole money. That's what you are directly saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because, like I said, if you have 100,000 lists that has been uploaded into the system, now you have validated over 100,000 and you are paying. What are you paying for? The difference between maybe 120 and 100,000. Why are you paying the difference of the 20,000? It means that you know something about it. Otherwise, you won't be paying for it.
Or say, or no, they will even say, sir, National Service Scheme over 2.2 billion. I just said, Charles, or say, entry. Any friend, the Charles, or say, entry. Any papa, a friend, or mammy, a friend, give to why. Mensa, Edino. Or say, it's either system, not failure. System, then your papa, at Mamma Coin. I'm a loopholes, I'm a month for creative, or Mugos name watch him. And I say, this individuals are no more office way. None the ayabwa power or much other pa. say ye de ye be disika ye ba be disika ento mo target ye yi kwa ma so ayo operation do ana o ma yes a create system na ma system no ana o mo de disika we say o so wadwen kwanya sanim ade na etima ba akofo ni mienu fo miensa nipa na num etimi tena se wie o man sika etesa o say aha ghost name no de make am say ye na omo ana nkomo ye national service omo do na ye bia 100,000 na actually ye try for 120,000 but say 20,000 no the extra 20,000 eban say ana be kan na adenti ana Ghana ban need the taxpayers money etre sa aka no or say was that question asked e be say that question here enka ebia dey nuru ha me say major susuka na wan hwe ya omo ba wo e be yi wedi dem so jani ya we di maka wani tum na ma me discuss Ghana police dey yenga so bi adi for even say wadi for a carbon tum anya say he wo benya asem na court upon because he dey see ya na nado I am on focus ani echibe wo kasa ya na national security edu oni ebobe say ya edi hwe ye ne man kwa konya asem but asem no tintin ni tete na say enedu yi papa ye friend Alexander Afenyo Markin minority leader police investigation I call so abra na just say ye free chama undumi no May 2025 protest and of course wa e man ne ko bo police ni papa te say azuma na say anya my Tyson aworing mi no obobo no eno ni kura kwa nya ne say police force mu hwe mu che say the minority leader and the chief Sanahene Alexander Afenyo Markin papa no ene ko share na rin say police ni bo na obobo no eto mo say or physically assaulting police na ya fa no corporal ebe no ntino he say ni ye twen Ghana mra ebe ye adwuma enanye adwuma Kissi Agyebeng office of the Special Prosecutor boss or say Ofori-Atta enye na adwen so oba Ghana and me say ni sa no ne kura what's up enti untimi nya he SAE wanted list fugitive list friend is Interpol list bebelebe extradition here you say for docket keke come attorney general onya wani so the docket go come attorney general otiko ekeka say was oma meanwhile there's a means and ways everything that extraditing the mind so if you are not willing and ready to do that I can't say ya na we ya na Kevin Taylor de bia na o ya bu na odi watani say ufi say untimi nya sa ka kire ye but no kura no tintin tete ni an say papa no tell say Ofori-Atta the then former finance minister papa no anya dia oba Ghana nti Ghana for baby adure de asem no eya ye de OSP aside na ECG so akowini case asevi Ghana $390 million e dey free landing court abra London abra PDS ene Ghana ECG ekopie mu ewo London for arbitration say ombe say contract amosan ya na Ghana atimitin no na wrongfully na say omusika ye $390 million ye dem o court abu ase Ghana for adibim because enkrofo no contract no munya cry fraudulent na me ye Ofori-Atta na so ma no na chipoto na chibasa we just do that to eso so ma nti say be dey for comments no eto comment section na say we are subscribe like na say ma unya eso enya bihwe edi no eye ba kupe Max Billian our naked truths on Oldboga Trends. Macau, bye bye.